Yo, new season, new colors, new merch, new swag. Go over to AmagoDayApparel.shop and get in your bag with our latest gear. I promise you won't be disappointed. Rep the kingdom, I rock in his image. Every order and purchase goes into helping me bring you better content. And so every order and purchase is greatly appreciated. We thank you for the support, and as always, peace and love.
Yo, what's going on, bro? So I got a interesting one for you today, man. So the rapper Dee-1 endorsed Kamala Harris because of this clip right here. Let's check it out.
To my fellow Christians, either Donald Trump or Kamala Harris will be our next president. Neither one of them is perfect, but we can't vote for this dude. I don't agree with everything that Kamala Harris stands for either, but I will be voting for her because the goal is to be like Jesus, and this ain't it. Watch this.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote. In conclusion.
Now, I wasn't understanding exactly why he made this video saying what he was saying. I thought it was because Trump said that he wasn't a Christian, but through further research, I found he pinned a comment that actually emphasized his point of why he said what he said. And that comment reads, y'all literally watching him play in our faces and are still willing to try and put him into office. He's flat out saying he wants to change our democracy. I am not okay with that. What the F is wrong with y'all? Now, I know for certain that people are taking this clip totally out of context and running with it because I actually sat and watched the whole video. But before I actually play the part that will give what he said actual context or real context, there's a few things that I want to say. First and foremost, Donald Trump has already stated that he has nothing to do with Project 2025 because we all know that that's what people are implying. That's the thing that they're referencing when they say this, when they, especially him making this post or status, the person's comment that he pinned, even the comments that I read on YouTube, a lot of people are taking what he said and they're conflating this with Project 2025. But as I said before, Donald Trump has already stated that he has nothing to do with Project 2025. I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. So he was honest to say that some of the things that he disagrees with, not all, but some. So first and foremost, that right there lets you know that he had no hand in drawing it up. Now, second, and this is contingent on the first point, Paul Dans, the manager of Project 2025, himself stated that Donald Trump was not in mind when they drew up Project 2025, simply because it's been around since 1981 when Ronald Reagan was in office, and it was under the mandate of leadership at the time. And here's Paul Dans literally saying that Donald Trump had nothing to do with Project 2025.
Yo, am I the only one tired of trying to explain this right here to people? The thing is, Paul Dans was actually on C-SPAN yesterday explaining this right here, Project 2025, and letting people know it really doesn't have anything to do with Donald Trump. This is something that has been thought about since 1980 when Reagan ran. Listen, and make sure y'all pass this around so y'all can stop trying to explain to people what this is about, because it's nothing but a fear-mongering tactic. Take a listen.
Who is collectively involved in coming up with these proposals?
Sure, we're now over 108 organizations joined together. It's all online, project2025.org. So these are, stalwarts like where I work at the Heritage Foundation, but also new coming groups on the conservative movement. Pretty much you name it, and they've become a part of it. It's really a clearinghouse to be able to put all of our ideas in one place, as well as personnel recommendations, and offer these to the next president.
Well, was this project developed with the idea that it was specifically tailored for former President Trump?
No, not at all. It was actually tailored for the next conservative. We came together in 2022 before actually anybody had declared that he or she was running for president. So, that was even before people knew President Trump would run.
Now, for those in the back, did y'all hear what he said when it was asked, was this tailored for Donald Trump? He said, no, this was actually something that was in place in 2022 when the Heritage Foundation actually wanted to put out ideals for the next conservative president. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. So everybody that's keep on, wanting to associate Trump with Project 2025, not true, but there's more.
To what degree, if any, did the former president have in these preparations or these development of these policy ideas?
Listen.
Well, he was president for 4 years, so many of the ideas are carry-ons from his original work. So I would like to think that a lot of it does kind of spring from that first term of Trump. But with respect to actual project, little to none, really. We came together as 501c3 groups, that's nonprofit, and really kind of tried to work together and make it a candidate agnostic project at first. It's really, we tailored it to be unapologetically conservative, but really also menu-driven, realizing that there's divisions in the movement. And where there's divisions, we didn't try to mete out one direction or the other. We put the ideas forward, and that's ultimately the candidates. And now President Trump's, his job is really to set the policy. So these are ultimately only recommendations, and it's really President Trump's team President Trump himself, who determines the next agenda.
And you said little to none, so does that mean the former president had any direct hand in this?
Correct, yeah.
Is that what it means?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay. We want to ask you, if you want to ask questions of our guests.
Now, if you see the reporter asked a direct question, did Donald Trump have a direct hand put in it? He said no, he did not. The thing is, he was breaking it down, saying that, these are recommendations for basically now nominee President Trump. The thing is, he can implement them or he can choose not to. Again, this is something that's been around since the Reagan era. The man is going to tell you how the Heritage Foundation picked up where the mandate was put out in the 80s for Ronald Reagan and how they just kind of, revamped it. So the thing is, everybody trying to associate Project 2025 to Donald Trump, y'all stop the fear-mongering. It's not working. One last clip and I'm done talking. Peace.
About this project, and the first one deals with a policy book called The Mandate for Leadership. Can you elaborate on that?
Right. So we took what Heritage, and like I said, it's kind of made its mark helping President-elect Reagan stand up his administration, and it centrally did this through a book called Mandate for Leadership in 1980. That was a compendium of essentially prescriptive fixes for agency by agency, and that became a hallmark of the Heritage Foundation. We took that same book and reprised it for 2024 and brought together 400 people, the majority of whom were outside Heritage, to author what they think a successful conservative four-year governance will look like for DOD, for Department of State, and all the way down the rank.
And last point, you know what? Democrats have focus groups, they have think tanks just like the Heritage Foundation. Again, this is just recommendations. It's not policy. And guess what? Just like Bush and all the other conservative presidents, they can choose to take one piece of it or all of it. But most times they have their own agenda, like Trump have Agenda 47.
And thirdly, just because Trump's policies and promises are similar to what Project 2025 proposes or presents, that don't mean that he's connected to him. As he said, there are some things that he agrees with. And if I'm being honest, when this was presented to Ronald Reagan, and even going back to what Paul Dan said, you can take some of those ideas and institute them into your administration. So Ronald Reagan took about 60% and he implemented those ideas into his policies and into his agenda. And a lot of people say that Ronald Reagan's presidency was one of the best. But for a lot of y'all Bible-believing Christians, I actually want to read some of the promises of Project 2025 that's similar to Trump's and tell me what y'all actually disagree with. So, four promises of Project 2025 is restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. I don't think any believers would disagree with that. Dismantle the administrative state and return self governance to the American people. I guarantee you Christians wouldn't disagree with that. Defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. And this fourth one, I guarantee you Christians wouldn't disagree with this. If you do, you're not a real Christian. Secure our God-given individual rights to live freely, what our Constitution calls the blessings of liberty. And the reason that I read those off, which are from Project 2025, because a lot of Trump's policies are centered around those four things right there. Now, they may go about different ways of how they actually plan on instituting those things, but at the end of the day, that doesn't take away from the essence of what's being said. Now, for you people that actually claim Christ, I would actually believe that because that aligns with what's biblical, then you all would be all for that. But again, if you aren't, then I would honestly have to question if you are even truly a believer. And finally, fourthly, people need to understand our government is a constitutional federal republic, not a democracy. Because I always hear people saying he's a threat to democracy, he's a danger to democracy. Again, it's not a democracy, and you don't want our government to be a democracy. And this is why in a republic, power is held by representatives elected by the people rather than direct decision making by the citizens themselves. The US system is designed to balance power among branches of government and protect individual rights. The term democracy and republic are often used interchangeably, but democracy emphasizes citizen participation and majority rule. Republic emphasizes representation, rule of law, and protection of individual rights. Now, listen to this democracy. Again, as I just said, direct majority rule, emphasis on popular sovereignty can lead, listen to what a democracy can lead to tyranny of the majority, where the majority's interest overrides individual rights. Our republic is a representative government, which is elected officials who make decisions, emphasis on protecting individual rights and minority interests, and helps prevent tyranny of the majority. In a republic, power is held by representatives accountable to the people. Individual rights and minority interests are protected, and decision making is more deliberate and less prone to emotional or impulsive choices. The founding fathers chose a republic to protect individual liberties, prevent mob rule, and ensure stable and informed governance. In summary, Republic provides a framework for representative governance, protecting individual rights and promoting more thoughtful decision making, whereas a democracy can be more susceptible to majority tyranny. So when people saying he's a threat to democracy, they're not understanding what they're actually saying, because our government is not a democracy. And if we're being honest, what we've been seeing here lately with organizations like Black Lives Matter, the feminist movement, the LGBTQ, and even the Democrats themselves, who are culprits to all of this stuff that's being pushed out there and being forced on us, they're more so of a majority rule, or who would be the mob, because they're the ones that's really running the program right now, and they're putting conservatives, our voices, on the back seat. So they're trampling what we're saying while pushing what they want to do anyway. That's an example of a type of tyranny or mob rule in our modern day times. Now, I want to give you a quick example before I move on. So in a democracy, a small example, a small town has a vote on whether to allow a new development project. The majority, who voted for, was 60%, votes in favor, but the project will displace a small group of longtime residents, which is 40%, who voted in opposite of. In a pure democracy, the majority's decision would prevail, potentially disregarding the rights and interests of the minority. Now, in a Republican system, the town council, who are the elected representatives, will consider the vote, but also weigh factors like individual property rights, community impact, and long-term consequences. The council might decide to modify the project or find alternative solutions that balance the majority's interests with the minority's rights. In this example, the Republic's representative government protects the minority's interests and ensures more thoughtful decision-making process. So you definitely want a republic and not a democracy. But who are the ones who's actually saying democracy? You will see that it's the Democrats. And for you people who want to know where I got that from, you can literally go and look this stuff up. But I just typed that in off Meta. The reason I do a lot of stuff off Meta is because it's a left-leaning engine or tool. When it's somebody on the other side actually proving your point, you can't argue with that. Now, I'm going to play the clip that actually gives true context to what Donald Trump is actually saying and what he meant right here. Let's check it out.
And by the way, Christians have to vote. You know, I don't want to scold you, but you know that Christians do not vote proportionately. They don't vote like they should. They're not big voters.
Now, if you actually put that statement and this one together, here's what you got.
And by the way, Christians have to vote. You know, I don't want to scold you, but you know that Christians do not vote proportionately. They don't vote like they should. They're not big voters. And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Now, what he was saying was Christians in America historically tend to not get out and vote. He was saying that you should all get out and vote. This is the most critical election. So get out and vote. And he was saying, if you get out and vote, you won't have to do it again, being it that you are the ones who typically don't get out and vote. So he's saying, if you get out and vote, it's going to be so fixed, it's going to be so good that you won't have to vote again. And what does he mean by fixed? We know that there's been previous administrations before Trump that still have lasting effects and policies that's put in place that still stands today, meaning that these ideas or these implementations were so good that people don't want to touch it nor mess it up. They want to keep it going. And that's what I believe that Trump is saying, that he's going to fix things so good that people are going to run policies like his or similar to his, that you're not going to want anything else come the next 4 years or the next 4 years and then the next 4 years. So for y'all people that's taking this out of context and running with it, yo, cut it out. Cut it out big time. And D1, in terms of you saying,
I don't agree with everything that Kamala Harris stands for either, but I will be voting for her because the goal is to be like Jesus.
I'm not even going to touch on that. Here's that video right here of Kamala Harris. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace, love. I'm out.
100, 100, 100, that's all I know. Ain't taking a dime off. We working, and that for sure. Ain't taking no time off. We serving, deliver hope. Forget all that crime talk. 100, 100, 100, that's all I go. Yeah, that be what I'm